Really?
Yeah. Did you have a late night last night?
Yeah, he works at at the bar, so I was there until about 2, and I was in school from 9 to 4, and then drove straight there until 2.
Damn. What have you been studying in school?
Cosmetology.
Oh,
Yeah, gonna learn to do women's hair next month.
nice, dude.
Yeah.
We're not gonna be able to outsource that to a robot anytime soon.
Nope. It's part of the reason I'm doing it.
Yeah.
It's like it's another form of lifetime work.
Yeah, lifetime work for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's gonna want a human to touch their head.
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure.
The good job.
Everyone needs it.
Right. Okay, cool. We'll get started here.
Oh yeah.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Nashville Artist. I'm Jordan, and today Nick Giosa and Cole Gardiner are here of the band Blemish. Welcome to my house.
Thank you for having
Yeah,
us.
thank you for having us.
Thank you for coming. Okay, cool. We'll start with you, Nick. So where are you from?
I'm from here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, from Nashville, from the west side. I feel like Cole and I's origin stories are very similar. You're probably going to hear a lot of the same thing twice up until age now. Age now. But yeah, so just from here.
Do you have any siblings?
I do. I have 2 older sisters.
Oh, are they also into arts and music?
Yeah. My oldest sister is a photographer and has been doing that, and is really good at a lot of design and graphic design stuff, and has worked for companies doing those kinds of things. So yeah, and then my other sister is I would say somewhat musically inclined. Yeah.
What are their names?
Alyssa is my oldest sister, and then Adriana is the other.
Nice. Do they live here in Nashville?
One of them does, and then the other one lives in Chattanooga right now.
Oh, really?
So,
nice. Do they go to school there? Or?
She did. She went
UTC?
to UTC, but
Nice.
she graduated in maybe 2019.
Oh.
Quite a while ago, and just has been there since.
What about your parents? Are they into music or art?
Yeah, my dad is a musician, so any musical inclination or imitation of talent that I have is from him. So.
What kind of guitar playing does he do?
A little bit of everything. I think primarily it was jazz. That's kind of what he started.
Oh, got the chops.
Yeah, he does. He definitely knows the technical side.
Does he play around town?
Sometimes. He mostly he's also an audio engineer, so he does a lot of production and recording for other people's bands or artists. So,
Wow. What kind of music was he into? Were his favorites or whatever?
I think growing up or right now or
All time, I guess.
all time.
What bands was he Dad's really into this?
I think he really just liked certain players. There will be songs that come on that he'll talk about that he really
Bill
likes.
Frisell.
I don't know. I mean, he likes
Pat Metheny.
he likes Pat Metheny. He likes Eric Clapton. He likes Wes Montgomery a lot.
Oh.
I mean, there's others. I can't really think of the names right now, but it's primarily players. And, people with musicians who have the melody within the playing, the guitar playing, not so much sing-songy stuff.
So what were you into as a little kid?
What was I into?
Yeah.
I think music wise or just anything. I was always just kind of attracted to art and visual arts and music, and I mean that's about it. I don't know. I didn't really do a whole lot. I like movies a lot. I've always really liked watching movies, and I've always loved soundtracks. So I definitely spend a lot of time, watching movies and getting absorbed into those things and getting soundtracks from the library and playing those in the background, or just sitting down and listening to those.
What movies or soundtracks?
I mean, it was kind of just like whatever. I think when I was probably like 9 or 10, I kind of, that's like maybe the age where you finally start to find your own like favorite things. It's not really what's been presented to you. It's maybe like you're old enough to kind of go out and find stuff. And I really liked Tim Burton movies. I think that's like a pretty interesting starting point, or cool starting point. Maybe it makes a lot of sense for people in my age bracket, and it also kind of adds up. It charts with a lot of the things I'm into now and have been into. It's somewhat gothic and fantastical, and very idiosyncratic. When something is Danny Elfman, he does all the soundtracks. When you hear it, that's him, and it's for a Tim Burton movie. So,
Right, dude. Danny Elfman is a character.
yeah, incredible. So, yeah, I mean, those were, and I liked books too. I basically just liked media and getting lost in media and stuff, and whether it be books or movies or music or whatever.
What music when you were 10 or whatever did you like?
I mean, probably pretty basic stuff. I think it was like the Beatles. Honestly,
yeah.
It was like, I think that's a big starting point. First favorite band for a lot of people. It was like, I had a little MP3 player, the kind where you can't choose really what song you listen to. It goes in order of what album you've put on the MP3 player.
It's like a shuffle.
Yeah, it's like a little shuffle, and so it's like you have to listen to the whatever first album you put on there, and but yeah, I think it was like the Beatles and Black Sabbath. And, then a lot of times it was like whatever my sisters listened to. So
when did you start playing music?
It was kind of on and off. I think my whole life, but I think I kind of started taking it like more seriously, or realized it was something feasible that I could actually do and maybe be halfway decent at when I was probably like 15 or 16.
Oh yeah.
But it was an on and off thing. It was always something like I was around or would do, for as long as I can remember. But I think there was just a day where it was clicked where I could like actually be serious about it.
You started on guitar?
Yeah.
Did you take lessons?
No. I mean, I would, my dad,
oh yeah,
guitar player, so like he would show me stuff, or I would just go learn songs on my own, or write songs or whatever. Or Cole and I, have always played music together from the time we were like 14. I think we would write stuff together, and just like jam out, and so, and I don't think anything ever came of those songs. I think we had one song that we totally finished in high school, and we were playing it, like riffing it in front of one of our friends, and she thought it was the Rock Lobster, and so we trashed the song because I was embarrassed that it sounded like that. The riff sounded like that.
It was kind of identical.
Yeah, it was kind of identical, and I had never heard the song before. I think it was slower. It was not like, it wasn't the same like tempo. It was definitely like a slower. Like I wanted it to be like Nirvana or something, but yeah, it was like the same riff. So I think it was like 4 years later, or 3 years later, before I would ever let a song that I wrote see the light of day, for fear that it would sound like Rock Lobster. So,
did you sing as well starting out?
I mean, as best as I could. So I would pretend to sing.
I understand. Well, like, what, like, since your dad plays guitar, what Did that just naturally draw you to music?
Yeah, I would say, yeah, always just kind of been around
Mhm.
music and art and constantly hearing it or going to my dad's gigs or shows or him having sessions and being around that or being around other musicians.
Why would you say you're drawn to it now?
Um, I think there's uh, a lot of corny ways for me to answer that question. And I may have to just lean into that, but I feel like for the past, like, you know, 8 years, 5 years, something around there, it's more of like a vocation. It's like I don't know like what else I would even want to be doing or like where else my brain would even go. So I mean, there's a lot of things I could say, a lot of answers I could give, but I think that's like um, the best answer I have right
Yeah.
now. Something I have to do.
Do you have like routines, or what would you say, like how you develop your
Um,
skills?
I had a really good routine during COVID actually, because none of us were working, and um, I got in a really good schedule and routine, and I think that's really important for um, I mean, for a lot of artists, but for me, I know personally, it's really important and beneficial for me to have a routine. To like take the time to really focus on it. And, put my phone down or on do not disturb, and leave it in the other room or something, and spend 3 hours. Whether it's just writing or trying to learn a new song or doing more rudimentary stuff. Um, but in the past couple of years, I've you know it's been a little bit more sporadic and less structured.
What
Which, yeah. So
what all does your routine, or like what do you do?
I mean, it's usually like a lot of coffee and then being in a dark room alone. Uh, Maybe with like a scented candle lit or something.
Oh yeah,
So
smells like burnt flesh.
maybe burn flesh, or if it's fall, I like pumpkin spice or
Oh,
pumpkin anything. Big
nice.
big on fall.
Okay.
Pumpkin, big on autumn, anything pumpkin, anything.
Nice. What of all time were some of your favorite bands and artists?
um I mean, Typo Negative has always been a big one for a good amount of time now. And Nine Inch Nails also, those are two bands, and the artists in those bands are ones I really resonate with, and um have a really intense and serious and specific outlook on music and their art and their processes. And that's like something I really um, would strive to be like in a sense. It's like something I really respect. But I like a lot of different types of music and different bands, and I think um, I like Pantera a lot. I like the heavier and groovier stuff, and um, I also really like Blink-182. That's been a band that I've always really liked.
That's a big connecting point for you and I.
Yeah, I
Dude,
love Blink. So.
Blink-182 is the reason I play drums, or Travis Barker was the reason I.
Mm-hmm. Hell yeah.
Dude, not to divert, but I'll just say this really fast. When I was 13 years old, friends were like, "Jordan, you should play bass. We need a bass player in our band." I don't know if I want to play bass. I really like the drums. Like Travis Barker's a badass. I
Yeah.
want to be a fucking badass. Yeah, and I got a drum set when I was was
Yeah.
like, Travis Barker.
Dude, yeah. I mean,
I
that's
revered
the-
him so much that I didn't even attempt to play any Blink-182 song.
I get it. It's
I
like
was like,
you hold it in such high regard. It's
Yeah.
like you don't even want to touch it.
I got more into Led Zeppelin because I was like, Blink-182, oh, we got Travis Barker. I'll go over here and
Yeah.
learn when the levee breaks on the drums. You know what I mean? Like,
That's awesome.
but yeah, so
Yeah, incredible band. That's a band that Cole and I have like always like we ride for.
Yeah.
And throughout the years, like, you know, that band has gotten less cool and then kind of regained popularity and amongst our peers. I remember in high school, people would give us shit
right.
because we always you know, listen to Blink-182 or played them on the way to school. Or
What's funny is I notice a lot of those people now are like, oh, well, it's actually.
yeah, everybody now has something different to say. But yeah, in like high school and stuff, and people would give us shit because it was like,
Right, they turn their nose up to him.
yeah, it's like, oh, we're too fucking cool to listen to Blink-182.
Yeah, they're like, people were like, it's too simple. And I'm like, dude, simplicity is the ultimate sophistication.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
and
I'm like,
it is simple, but I mean, they do have like in production wise, they have like a lot of
yeah.
you know, complex and really smart you know, things going on in songwriting skills, and I mean, especially that you know, the Untitled or self-titled record.
Yeah,
That one is just
2003.
yeah, miles above. I mean, that I think that's Cole and I's favorite Blink
That's
record.
my favorite too.
Used to be Dude Ranch, but then I got a little older and I was like,
Yeah.
actually. I like this one.
Dude Ranch is like super simple. Like
Yeah.
really,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
really
Punk.
like meat and potatoes, like
Yeah.
punk.
Just power chords straight
Yeah,
through,
yeah.
digging fart jokes.
So yeah,
But
but
then
also sick.
The production elements of the self-titled
Yeah,
really elevated it.
I think it probably wasn't until a couple years ago. I mean, when I got more into like post-punk, like, you know, 70s and 80s post-punk and goth music, that I realized there's so many production influences and songwriting influences in that
Oh,
record, from like The Cure and Joy Division and the Smiths and stuff like, you know, stuff like that. I mean, the Smiths not really post-punk, but kind of in that same world. And you can just really hear in like Tom and Mark's songwriting that they really were, you know, listen to a lot of that kind of music. And even like the lyricism is somewhat similar, I think.
Yeah.
It's got similarities, and which is really, really cool. It's cool when you get older and you realize, like, you find other frames of reference or how artists you like, or, you know, have liked other music that you've been into, but you found in different periods of your life, times of your life.
Yeah. I remember I watched this interview with Tom when he was like, I don't know, in his 20s, and they were like, why did you choose music? And he's like, well, I figured, you know, while I do this, I can still be as stupid as possible and still get paid for it. And he's like, so it gives me an excuse to be stupid for a couple more years.
Yeah, that's like the game plan for me. I mean, I haven't been able to do music as a job yet, but I'm still stupid, so I'm like halfway there, I think. But
yeah, he's like, we don't really want to grow up, so we just want to be stupid and, you know, mock the world, basically. But yeah, dude, Blink-182.
yeah, awesome.
Classic.
So, other than music and whatnot, what would you say inspires your creativity? It can include music. Whatever.
Yeah, no, I mean, I would probably movies, probably film, movies, and I mean, history. There's a lot of history, or yeah, I guess like true crime stuff. I kind of don't hate that word because it's like such a like a TV phrase or an internet phrase of like true crime, but I really like a lot of weird events in history, and I'm really drawn to that kind of stuff. And so yeah, I mean, and so probably like movies and then other weird shit and horrible tragedies that have happened, probably.
Right.
So,
True crime as in the documentary sense, right?
yeah, I
Or-
mean, in the documentary sense, or books, or
Like remakes, like someone plays a
yeah,
character.
remakes, or TV shows, or I mean, just like reading about it online, just anything involving it. I mean, I like Cole and I have even done things where we like go to places where things have happened, and that is like a weird. It's like a sense of
Ooh.
yeah. I mean, it's
Yeah.
like it's in a weird way. It's inspiring and it gives you kind of an energy and a vibe, and there's a lot of things to take away from it and learn from it. So yeah,
I remember we talked about Richard Ramirez.
yes, yeah. Richard Ramirez. Yeah, I have a button with his face on it.
Yeah.
I think I remember you pointed it out.
Yeah, I've watched a lot of documentaries on him.
Yeah, and Psycho.
Psycho.
It's a very scary character.
Right,
But
just sneaks into your window
yeah, that's like
during the summer.
yeah, literally like
Yeah.
maybe the
Most terrifying your nightmare.
Yeah, it is. I think to wake
The
up.
Night Stalker.
Yeah, have someone crawling in your window is maybe one of the like scariest ways to go.
And to look like Richard, I mean, he was like missing teeth. He was like
Teeth
super
and-
skinny. Like they said
Yeah,
they said when they caught him, he looked like a demon
yeah,
because they chased him down the street, and like when they trapped him, he was like in a corner like by himself. Like,
yeah,
like
hunched over.
yeah, and they were like he was a scary looking dude.
It was like a whole mob that chased him.
Yeah, they were like, there he is.
Yeah, they
'Cause
like
he was walking out of a convenience store.
yeah, it was like the middle of the day. It was like
Uh,
yeah, that's wild. The whole neighborhood like started coming out of their houses and just chasing this one guy down. It's like medieval times or something.
Yeah. I mean, that's like the best way to get him caught.
Yeah.
It's like the people are
Yeah,
now
really.
turning on him. Okay, cool. What would you say your strengths and weaknesses as an artist?
Oof.
That's all you.
That's all you. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like there's a thin line between a lot of them. Like some of my strengths and are like right there next to the weaknesses. They're like almost the same thing. But I think I think I'm a bit of a perfectionist. I don't think I ever get anything perfect or close to it. But I think I try, and I try for way too long when I should move on to new things, or just let something be the way it is. If so, I think that's a big one where I just spend way too much time on things, and I'll finish it and then decide I don't like it, or throw it away or whatever. So I would say that's a big thing. I'm slow with the process sometimes. I wish I could write like 100 songs in a couple months, but it's like for every one song I like, there's like 20 I've tried to write around it, or in that like same time frame that I've trashed. Probably a big one.
Yeah.
But there's a long list of flaws.
There's what?
There's a long list of weaknesses. So.
Or what would you say one of them, other than perfectionism, or another strength?
Another strength or another weakness.
Because that one kind of is a double-edged sword.
Yeah, I think so many of them are. I'm not really sure. I think most of my most of my outlook on my artistic process I view as a weakness, as a flaw that I think could be a lot better.
Really critical.
Yeah, so maybe maybe that could even be one of being my own worst critic. So that, and sometimes it's hard for me to. Um, I keep things really close. I play my cards close to the chest, so I don't share a lot of things when I'm working on them. I don't like to show anybody or have anybody listen to a song until it's you know, almost done or has been fleshed out fully. I don't like to let it go outside of like the close inner circle. And I think that's another thing that can be good and bad. Because I think sometimes it's helpful and good to have fresh ears, um, listen or look at the art that you created.
But you don't want it to get prejudged.
Yeah, but I also am like, can be hypersensitive to that type of judgment. So.
So that. Okay, cool. How would you best describe the type of artist you are?
Masochistic.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. It's like
Going down the roster,
yeah, good things aren't gonna come out of me unless I like put myself through a lot of pain. I mean, which isn't is unnecessarily true, and it sounds dramatic. It's like, if anything, it's funny. But yeah, that's definitely like the best answer I have.
Why would you say you prefer that?
I don't even know if I prefer that. I think it's just the way
It's just been that way.
Yeah, it's just the way I'm wired. So
Yeah.
it's just not going to change. So, but
What is a good example of masochistic for you?
I mean, it's like just putting myself through so much unnecessary stress and like not sleeping and
It comes out in the lyrics.
yeah, definitely comes out in the lyrics and the themes of the band. I mean, I think everything is all very cohesive, and I try to make the imagery and even the lyrics, and then even like our live shows, I think have just over the years have gotten way more intense and aggressive, and yeah, there's a lot of anger and being pissed off, and whether I think it's mostly internal, though. It's not really like I'm blaming anyone else or like punk like society type
Self-expression.
yeah. I mean, again, the masochistic, putting myself through pain. I think that's also just a way Cole and I have been, where we are very much like blue collar, in the sense that we have to earn our stripes, and really put in the hours and get our ass handed to us a bunch before we can make something that's good, or deserve to have our 15 minutes. So
Yeah. A lot of liberation in that.
yeah, definitely.
I feel at ease when I hear someone talk about pain or whatever, because I'm like, I'm not alone, and I'm not supposed to always be happy.
Yeah. No, definitely. I mean,
it's okay to feel pain.
Yeah, and it's okay to not be happy.
Yeah.
It's more about what you do with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, there's more to art and in life than just being happy. I mean, that's like a really important thing, and I think
it is. Yeah.
But that also, again, is probably like the unhealthy masochistic part of me talking. That's like, I think there needs to be a bigger purpose, and something bigger than myself than just being like happy. But
well, it's like also giving the okay to be unhappy.
Yeah.
Don't feel guilty because you're unhappy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Which is another like weird line to walk. And
yeah. Okay, cool. So, I mean, you've just, since you've moved or lived here, you haven't, or since you're from here, you haven't like gone away to school or.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you've been here the
whole time.
Well then, this might be a little hard for you to answer, but what would you say you've learned living here?
that, you know, a lot of trends come and go, and everybody wants a taste once you're at the top. You know, everybody wants to take a bite. Once you get some clout or get a small following, or you know, can offer them something. I think that's pretty general for anywhere, but over the years in Nashville, and especially like doing art and music, you really start to see that and experience that. I know I have firsthand. So,
Oh, really?
yeah, definitely.
Just like people like, you're the new hip thing to be.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't mean to be like self-proclaim that like I have something so cool to offer, or that I'm like so hip, but definitely, you know, if someone sees that you have something good to offer, which can be flattering, but you know, in a way,
And the ass kissing starts happening.
the ass kissing starts happening. Yeah, and you got to be able to see through the
Right.
bullshit
Right.
of, you know, does this person really respect me or appreciate what I'm doing, or, you know, understand it, or are they just, you know, do they just see something that is good or could be good or attracts attention, and then, you know, and then they'll move on to the next thing, once that fades, or they lose interest, or
Right.
they find something. Usually when they find something that has more attention that they can get close to, so
Right.
so
Yeah.
it's that social climbing.
Yeah, you definitely hear about that in Pantera. Walk.
Yeah. yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think there's a big reason why I, you know, really fuck with that band, and the lyricism is always just so pissed off and angry.
Yeah, and it's got the southern edge to it.
Yeah,
it's just like
it
that,
does.
like that farm muscle energy.
Yeah,
or whatever.
it's like
I don't know. It's
very.
Just like, do not stop me.
Yeah, it's very definitely got like that almost redneck
Right
vibe to it, which is funny.
But yeah, like they like do it so well.
Yeah, and then just the musicianship and the artistry is just incredible. Yeah. I mean, Cole and I, when we were in Texas a few years ago, we went and saw the gravesite of the drummer and the guitar player, Dimebag and Vinnie Paul, and
The Abbott Brothers.
Yeah, the Abbott Brothers, and it was just like, you know, probably one of the coolest.
That was in Texas, right?
Yeah, in Arlington.
Arlington.
And that was just like, you know, it's so cool that they were just brothers and they were like such a tight knit team.
Yeah,
and like they were just the heart and the soul for that band. And
there was like that motorcycle guy
Yeah.
showed up and he had like 2 beers in his hand.
Yeah, it was like,
"What's up, y'all?"
Yeah, it was like noon. It was like, you know, 12 o'clock. And
a guy showed up to drink at the site.
Yeah, it was like him
With
and
his girlfriend.
with his girlfriend, and yeah, he had like, was it like 2 tall boys or
Those
something?
2 tall boys,
Yeah.
they both looked like they were in their mid-50s. Just
Yeah.
like some almost rebel-looking people. It was cool though. They were
Metalheads,
really nice.
yeah, definitely like Harley Davidson guy, you know. But
He's got a crowbar.
yeah, probably, yeah. But and I mean, he was nice, and it was funny because like we were both there, and I think that obviously like for the same reason.
Yeah,
It's just funny at like 12 o'clock.
coming to pay respects.
Come to pay respect and like pour one out for Diamond Vinny.
For Diamond Vinny,
Yeah.
yeah, because they were hard partiers.
Yeah,
God, the black tooth grin.
yeah.
Jeez.
That is like the one thing, like that just like blows me away, and that's awesome. But also is like totally opposite of me is that they were like could have so much fun and party so hard and still be just absolutely kick-ass musicians,
Yeah.
like incredible top tier musicians. It's like, dang, they did it all while like having such a good time.
Mhm.
Like you watch interviews and they're just like so excited about the music, and it's like, think I should, you know, there's definitely a lot to learn from that for me personally.
Yeah. I remember hearing about Vinnie Paul's like parties
Yeah.
his like compound in Texas,
Mm-hmm.
and I was just like, man, the whole compound was like a party house.
Yeah.
Like,
He had a strip club.
yeah.
I forgot what it was called, but it was something really ridiculous. Very on brand.
So, do you have a favorite place to play here in Nashville?
We kind of moved all around. There's
Yeah.
not really many spots we've played over and over.
Yeah, I mean, I think we played. The last show we did was at Fran's.
I really, yeah.
Yeah, and that one was actually a lot of fun.
Mhm.
We were a little bit skeptical. One, because it was, we didn't really know how the turnout was going to be, and also it was such a mixed bill. We kind of thought nobody would really give a shit about us.
Yeah, it's like a bunch of indie bands.
Yeah,
Us, which
yeah.
kind of always is the case.
Yeah, we're always definitely the odd ones, out on the bill. But it was a lot of fun, and definitely a cool spot. I liked that. I like playing the end a lot.
Oh yeah.
Band's always fun.
Yeah, we did a show outside at a place called Foxwood in 2021, and that was one we were a little unsure of too. We didn't know if it was going to be, just like a little backyard thing in the middle of nowhere that nobody was going to show up to, and
Turns out we were wrong.
yeah, we were.
That
we
was
were
like the most
very
people
wrong.
we played to.
Yeah, it was like 120 or 30 people maybe.
It was
Wow.
weird.
So
Yeah,
it was like the biggest one they'd had, and show they'd had. It was in a backyard, and they like had a whole stage built, and
we opened up for, I think it was a punk band, someone that moved and then came back to do one more show with, and then us, and then a rapper. It was a weird bill.
and
Wow.
it was one of the very first shows where we had people just like go ape shit for our set. It was our first show back after COVID and everything, and I think we really like redeemed ourselves and showed that we like kicked it up a notch, because people were just like losing their shit, and I think there was gear that was falling over, and monitors that were getting kicked, and people were falling, and crowd surfing and whatever.
What was her first show back from COVID?
It was that. It was that
It
one.
was that
yeah.
one? Okay, yeah.
Mhm.
That was, yeah. I was like,
I think I
nervously
saw
drinking
videos
beer.
of that. Was Macy at that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I think I saw her stories from that.
Yeah.
Some kick-ass.
She's definitely one of our biggest supporters. Very much appreciate.
Oh yeah, dude.
She always rides for us. So
I remember I
Sick.
messaged her when I saw y'all at Fran's. She's like, "Oh fuck yeah."
yeah, I need to send her a shirt.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Anyways, what is some advice you would give to someone who's going to move here and do art?
Don't
Just don't do it.
don't do it, and
Unless you want to be a Lyft driver.
yeah, and if you already are, it's never too late to give up. So. And there's so many other ways to be miserable.
Yeah.
So, that are easier and cheaper, and
Get the job done.
yeah, and get the job done just as well. So probably
Awesome.
the best advice I have.
Okay, cool. So reflecting on back when you started as an artist, what were some of the biggest challenges you've had to overcome? How did you get through them?
Probably the biggest challenges were just fear of failure and putting myself in front of people, or putting art out into the world and having people judge it and see it, and so that would definitely be the biggest. That was definitely the biggest challenge, and the way I got through it was through being embarrassed and judged and pain, and being angry at myself, or feeling stupid, and then just having to make it better, do better, and make better stuff. And again, it's like it's always been a process of you get knocked down and have to get back up, and if you don't get back up, then you could never really probably do it anyways.
Right.
You're never cut out do the thing that maybe you thought you wanted if you're not willing to get your ass handed to you. But again, that's like kind of a mean way, a pessimistic way to look at things, maybe. But that's just always how I've been wired.
No pain, no gain.
Exactly, yeah. And earlier we kind of were talking about tough love, and again, maybe it's like probably not always the best.
Tough love, yeah.
But it's just like the way that I've always operated towards music and art and anything that I've wanted to be good at.
It's like it's gone wrong, good.
Yeah, it's like character development or something. But then even when it is good, it's like, man, it could be better. It could be so much better. So like even the wins can be, losses. But I think that is actually going back to like one of my biggest weaknesses is like not being able to be satisfied with something I've made or take it as a win or be positive about it. And I think Cole is someone who's always been really encouraging of me to be like, no, man, this is good. Like what you did was good, or what the show we played was awesome and people really liked it. Cause I'm just, immediately after we play, I'm like, that fucking sucked. We can be better. I can be better. I can play better. I can sing better. And Cole is, like, is always a good voice of reason and encouragement of like, no, dude, you're being fucking stupid. People liked that and people were having fun and it was good. And just because it wasn't, what you maybe thought you wanted it to be in your brain, or it wasn't like this perfect scenario, it was still good and it was fun, and that's enough.
Nice. Okay. So, what would you say is your biggest personal growth from last year to this year?
That's a damn, I don't know. I'm gonna plead the fifth on that question, I think.
Okay.
So
how do you consume media? Do you like watch a lot of YouTube?
sometimes, I think when it comes to YouTube, it's mostly like music videos, but I watch a lot of, DVDs and VHS tapes and Blu-rays. And that's another thing Cole and I've always been about is we've always loved physical media. And like, I've never met anybody who has as many DVDs as Cole or I, or movies or like CDs, anything like that. We just all have like always loved having, and like that's a big way. I mean, and like streaming services or whatever, those are cool too, and it's super convenient. But like, there's something about having the physical media that I think has always been very enticing. Makes it more of an experience, and I like that. I like sitting down and turning my phone off, turning the lights off, and being just in the letting the movie or the album take me where it wants me to go. That sounds probably pretty corny, but
Yeah, let it take you away.
yeah, and that's I think that's an important way to consume media.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Whenever I consume anything, turn off all the lights.
Yeah,
I'm like in it. I'm like, if I'm watching a scary movie with someone, I'm like, don't talk to me. I'm trying to get scared.
Yeah, I'm trying to get scared. And, I mean, I'm definitely guilty of not always doing that, but it's definitely like when I'm excited about something or something's like important, or if it's a favorite movie, like, or a movie I've been waiting to watch for a really long time, I'll put it off even longer until like I think it's the right time to watch it, until I can like really be in the zone and like have my little setup or rituals, like a cup of coffee, or whatever it is, or like a certain weather on a day or whatever.
Nice. Well, is there anything you would like to add that I might not have asked you about?
And so,
Yeah? Okay, here's the last question.
oh.
What is something absurd you love or do?
Something absurd that I love
Or do, yeah.
or
It
do.
could be a thing, it could be an action.
You want, oh man, one thing. Like,
I mean, I guess the
oh,
mini DVDs you have could be something.
that is a
Absurd level.
weird thing. I guess. I mean, that's not, I don't know. All the things that like that are probably weird that I do or like aren't that weird to me. And like or to Cole, because like we've always liked weird, fucked up shit.
Yeah.
I think like yeah, maybe just maybe obscure items, rare items, or of like the fucked up or macabre variety. You know, like really, really fucked up movies. Or I like buying like artifacts. I guess is the best word for it. Of like true crime or serial killer items. I have a couple letters that were written to Jeffrey Dahmer, and I have a signature from Charles Manson, and a few other weird things, which is I guess kind of absurd and fucked up. I don't know, but
It's kind of mystique to it, kind of like the like the taboo, the forbidden,
it's taboo, it's forbidden. There's a certain like
grisly nature to
it, and like there's like a lot of folklore kind of surrounding those items or those characters, and so yeah, that's always just something I've kind of been interested in, and it's kind of progressed so into like finding weirder things or fucked up movies. You always kind of want to kick it up a notch. It's never gonna be enough.
Oh yeah.
So you want to see how far you can go. So yeah, I guess I don't know. I don't know if that's a good answer.
Yeah. I mean, if you go to Wisconsin, you can like do this Jeffrey Dahmer tour or whatever.
Yeah.
And they even have like a jacket of it. This was Jeffrey Dahmer's. Would you put it on? And some people are like, no, like fear. I'm like, but they talk about how weird it is that one piece of clothing could be so like.
Yeah, it holds
so
much like power almost.
Yeah.
Such an item. Just
it could be like going on a tour and then be like, here, do you want to try something that he also tried on?
Yeah.
It's like, wow.
That's very bizarre, but very.
But it's like, it's cool. The same way.
Yeah, there's something really enticing and interesting about it.
There's this guy I watched, and he like got close to John Wayne Gacy, and he like gave a picture of his child to John Wayne Gacy, and John Wayne Gacy drew a picture of his child, but it was also like, and then he got a picture with John Wayne Gacy.
Wow.
And he was like, obviously, if he any fucked up things he would ever do to my son, I would kill him or whatever. But it was just like, he was like okay with, I don't know, it was just weird. He got close to him. It was weird.
Yeah, that is really bizarre. I mean, that's like, wow.
Yeah, and he had like Pogo the Clown, like his different, like from John Wayne Gacy.
Yeah, that's awesome.
He had collected all his stuff.
Yeah.
They call it murderabilia.
Murderabilia,
yeah.
I think it would be awesome to have a painting of his one day. I
wonder how many there are.
There's a pretty large number.
I guess what else was he going to do in prison?
Yeah, I mean, he did so many. There's a museum in Savannah that has like the largest collection of like Gacy paintings, but then there's just so many. But there's a lot of different weird museums or collectors like across the country, and there's quite a few of those paintings out there.
Yeah, it's an item. When you say like rare items, I immediately think like video games. Find this rare item collected, but it's in the video game of life.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, most definitely.
I wanted to, or I'll bring this back up, but the song "Shifting the Balance," I can definitely hear the Al Jordan's inspiration in the vocals.
Oh, sick, sick.
Dude, yeah, I was like, man, I can hear the fucking industrial
Yeah.
machine inside this.
Yeah.
It's-
Fuck yeah. I think it's really cool that we have like a lot of industrial sounds in our bands, and
it's like that, like we will fucking march ahead.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
like machine, just
Machine, yeah, like fucking being,
like all analytical, like just like
Yeah.
automatons almost, but like just like with
hydraulics,
power. I
Yeah.
don't know. Yeah, but anyways, now we'll get into Cole.
Okay.
All right, so you're also from Nashville.
I grew up 5 minutes down the street from him.
Okay, cool. And do you also have siblings?
I have a younger brother and a younger sister,
What are their names?
Natalie and Gabe.
Nice. Are they also into music and stuff?
No, not really. My sister started going to raves and crust-punk shows when she was about 14, 15, but she kind of fell out of that as she got a little older. And my brother actually says he doesn't listen to music.
Wow.
He just 3D prints all day. He loves his 3D printer.
But I mean, what does he 3D print to? Silence?
Yeah. Well, no, he just watches YouTube videos.
Oh, okay.
That's all it is. He's got YouTube on 24/7.
I'm like, I've met people that are like, I don't listen to music, but I'm like, what fills the space when you're doing other things? You know, like,
Yeah.
or like, I've always wondered that.
It's all YouTube.
YouTube.
Yeah.
So he just watches like 3D printing stuff on YouTube.
No, he's intuitive. He's a smart man right there. He knows what he's doing, but he just listens to people talking about video games, anime, all those kind of things.
Nice. Are they older or younger than you?
Younger.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're both younger. I'm the oldest of 3.
Nice.
Lots of fun.
That's cool that he's really into 3D printing. Does he have like? I'm assuming he has his own machine.
Yeah, he had one machine, but it moved pretty slowly, and
Is it like one of those like?
I'd say it's about like yay big. It's a pretty nice machine, but he has a second one set up right next to it, so he's always got 2 3D printers going off.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
What is some of the things that he's created that you've seen? Like,
He made for Christmas, his gift was one of those cursive kind of live, laugh, love things, but except it just said come. So, and that's hanging up in my living room right now. And I've seen him. He made a whole anime suit one time.
a whole anime.
Yeah, he
suit?
went to like an anime con with a suit that he made of armor.
Wow.
Yeah, he makes all kinds of stuff, like little furniture pieces, and I think he's just trying to do everything he can.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's really cool. So, what were you like as a little kid? What were you into?
I was kind of the opposite. I was not smart enough to figure out stuff like that. What was I into as a little kid? Played a lot of video games. Played my PS2 a lot. Still playing my PS2 a lot. One of my favorites.
What do you play on your PS2?
Silent Hill, when I owned it, was my favorite one. Probably the second one. Right now, I've been finding myself playing The Sims more often than not.
The Sims.
Yeah, I love The Sims. Sims busting out is pretty fun.
Yeah. Is it like The Sims where you're in a neighborhood and you have like a bunch of neighbors, or is it like a city or whatever?
I have the city game. I don't know, that's the one I probably play the least. I like the one though where it's just, okay, you moved into a neighborhood, you're out on your own, build your house, get a job, meet somebody,
Take care of the flies.
Yeah. Take care of the flies.
Around your trash can.
Yeah. Sims fuck.
So yeah,
Yeah. The Wicked Wings mod, get them like smoking meth.
So, what first got you into music and art?
Both my parents in the 90s were touring musicians.
Should have asked about your parents. That's awesome. What kind of music did they play?
My dad did industrial music all through the 80s and 90s.
What?
My mom was a bass player. She was a little on a different side. She was big into like Duran Duran, and the first show she ever went to, I think, was Sonic Youth and the Ramones at a college venue.
Wow.
So Jesus and Mary Jane was her all-time favorite.
Wow. Yeah. Damn, I should have asked you. I should have asked about your parents.
They're half the reason I do what I do today in terms of music.
Yeah. So you said your dad was in what kind of what band or was
So I don't remember the first name because that was when he was 16 years old. They were on Wax Trax.
Fuck yeah,
Mhm.
Chicago. Yes.
And it was a joke industrial band. That's what I do remember. But it gained some traction. He played a lot of shows with it, and he found himself into a lot of synth pop in the future. He loves electronic music. That's his bag.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wax Trax. So he's probably met Al Jordanson.
I don't know if they've met, but this was like very early days.
So when they were back in Colorado?
Back when they were pretty much like a new wave band.
Oh yeah.
So it was around that time frame. It was before
That's
they
so
did the whole
interesting.
metal.
There's several bands that have the same kind of lineage
Mhm.
as Ministry, where they start off as 80s synth pop, and then they slowly move into industrial, and then by 90s they're industrial metal.
Yeah. But yeah, he never really fell into the metal side of things. He was more of the gothic edge kind of person.
Okay.
Soft goth guy from the 80s and 90s.
What style of industrial like?
He loved Nitzareb. That was one of his favorites. I'm trying to think of other ones he's mentioned before. Nitzareb, Skinny Puppy. He was
Oh
huge
my
with them.
God.
He loved that. Man.
Nivek Ogre.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That guy.
He was big on that.
Did he like Ministry?
He liked Ministry's first album. I think
with
everything
Sympathy.
else started to push a little too more on the metal side. 9 Inch Nails, I don't know why I blanked on that one for so long. That was one of his favorites too.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
It's interesting he didn't like the metal, but
Yes,
he said Downward
Mhm.
Spiral is like his favorite.
Yeah.
record,
He's interesting.
which is like
But that makes sense. I guess that one is more electronic, like than Ministry. Industrial, with Sympathy, but he likes the Downward Spiral.
Oh yeah, he loves the Downward Spiral. We actually just went to that last show they played in Franklin together.
Wait, what? 9 Inch Nails?
It
Was
was
in Franklin?
9 Inch Nails and Boy Harsher. Yeah. It was
Franklin?
Yeah. It was at this really cool.
That's amazing.
How would you say it was like
it's an amphitheater,
rock?
but yeah, it's like the Nashville version of the Red Rocks Amphitheater. It's like Diet Red Rocks Amphitheater.
What's it
It's like-
called?
I don't remember.
What
I remember Starwood was a big amp.
Yeah, Starwood was like the one in like Smyrna. I don't remember the name of it. I mean, there's been a lot of really cool shows there. I think Smashing Pumpkins is playing there later this year, maybe.
Yeah, they are.
And, there's been a lot of cool shows there. It's an awesome venue, especially amphitheater wise.
Yeah, I haven't, other than Ascend, I don't know of any other amphitheaters here in close to Nashville.
We saw 9 Inch Nails at Ascend too, and and I was also at that Franklin show, and I think that one was better.
At Franklin?
Yeah,
It sounded much better.
it sounded better.
Yeah, every time I've gone, I've only actually seen one show at Ascend, but it was kind of underwhelming.
Yeah.
It wasn't loud enough. Like, I saw Tame Impala there, and I was like, wow, it's like outdoors should be blasted.
Yeah,
And like, I'm on the lawn, and it wasn't loud enough.
that's exactly what
I
I
was
was like.
man, I don't know why they're not. But anyways,
Blasting that, yeah.
I've been to Red Rocks. They,
That's awesome.
yeah, I saw My Morning Jacket there.
Wow, that's crazy.
And some other bands, but that's the only real. Well, there's some in Atlanta that are pretty cool, but I love. Anyways, so how did you start out with your music and stuff?
I played the bassoon in middle school, and I was too tiny for it, and they had to switch me to trumpet. So I played trumpet. I played trumpet for a while because I had to wear my Heelys to be the height of the bassoon.
Oh, hell
So
yeah.
they were like, your fingers can't wrap around this. We got to get you on another instrument. So, and switched to trumpet, cornet too, because just a tiny trumpet. And then they moved me over to drums because they didn't have a drummer. And I was the only one that could, me and two other people were the only ones that could keep rhythm in that class because middle school, public school, people are in band, but they're not. Everyone's,
Right.
You know how that goes.
No one really cares.
No.
Right.
But yeah, then I found myself on bass. I play my mom's bass from the 90s.
Wow.
Pete Fender.
What kind of music did she play again in the 90s?
My dad and her were both in kind of this industrial pop band called Clockhouse for a while. And they did that for a pretty long time. And then once that was done, her music career was over when she had me. So that was pretty much the stopping grounds.
Late 90s.
Late 90s, yeah.
Nice. When did you got into bass? What was that, like middle school when you started playing that?
That was like late high school.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think great drummer, great bass player. I think like
my dad has been showing me how to produce.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Is like you have such a like producer's mind. You do like crazy production.
I like production stuff a little more.
You can hear the whole picture.
Yeah, I like samples a lot. Programming's been something I've been practicing for years. Very difficult, but more fulfilling.
What do you like to sample?
I like presets. I like just tweaking presets and adding all kind of crazy effects onto them.
Presets as in like instruments on
just sequences and textures that I already kind of have on the computer, and seeing how you can change them. You make some pretty crazy sounds with just some presets that you tweaked.
Huh.
Presets might not even be the right word.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, presets.
Yeah, just textures and sequences.
So like in high school, you were like making music on the computer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I started off with harsh noise, and then I got a little older and was like, I don't like
harsh noise.
Yeah, definitely have made music that sounds like what I would imagine dementia sounds like it's just so fucking brutal and like scary.
Yeah, it's always, no matter what happens, it always comes out a little nightmarish for some reason. But I mean, I'll take it.
What comes out nightmarish?
Just anything I've written on the computer always kind of comes out a little
like
nightmare
menacing.
Yeah. The softest ever was I did a little industrial EP when I was 18, and that was more pop than anything else.
Man, just like in the genre of industrial itself, there's so many offshoots of industrial.
Mm-hmm.
Just like rock. Like
Mm-hmm.
so many offshoots
a lot
of rock.
of subcategories.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but like industrial, there's so many different realms of it now. Especially that you grew up on industrial.
Yeah.
Because like
my dad was always on tour with you ever listen to Revolting Cocks?
Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah, he was always on tour with them in the 90s.
So he has met Al Jordanson.
He's just been, I don't know, because he doesn't very
What if he was
about it. He doesn't talk about who he's been around.
Because Trent Reznor was a roadie for Revolting Cocks.
Oh really?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Dude,
I didn't even know that.
In that book, there is some insane shit.
Yeah, he's
like,
done a lot of work with just those kind of bands.
Al Jordanson was like he was like one of the grandfathers of industrial, because like Trent Reznor was obsessed with Al Jordanson and was like, when I grow up, I want to be like Al Jordanson. Makes the darkest, craziest, weirdest music. And he's like, when I get older, that means I'm going to be able to make it. He's like, he saw Al Jordanson as a pioneer for the darker shit that he wanted to come. But like back in the 80s, Trent would be the roadie for Al, and Al would want to borrow his synthesizers, and Trent was like, no, you're gonna fuck him up. And he's like, no, you cannot borrow my shit. And so they're like, all right, then you can come on the road with us and you can look after your synthesizers or whatever. And so they go in the studio together, and it's Al, Trent, the drummer Bill Rifflin, and some other dude. Mm-hmm. And Al goes, all right, here are the ground rules. You'll fall asleep. I'm going to shave your head and your eyebrows. And they're like, okay. And so Al goes into the bathroom, does all his cocaine, comes back out, and roofies Trent and roofies the drummer. and
That's
they
awesome.
both go to sleep, whatever,
Yeah,
and
that's awesome.
and Al starts shaving off the drummer's head and his eyebrows, and then they get to Trent and they start shaving off his head or his eyebrows, and Trent wakes up and goes, "Dude, what the fuck are you doing?" And then like he goes into the mirror and like he's like, "Oh my god, what'd you do?" And Al's like, "Those are the rules. You went to sleep. You weren't supposed to go to sleep." And like Trent's like, "Oh my god." And then like 2 months later on the front cover of a magazine, it's like Trent Reznor sets new hair trend. And Al Jordanson's like, I did that to him.
That's
I
awesome.
hope Connor doesn't listen to this because we got to do that to him. That's just like
Connor
giving
all the way.
us so much inspiration. We gotta
Yeah.
make that rule for
You-
Connor.
and so, like, Trent like had like didn't fix the hair or whatever, and they thought that he was setting a whole trend.
awesome.
That's awesome.
And there's like so many stories like that, how Al has influenced bands indirectly,
Mm-hmm.
like severely. But that's just wild. Your dad was on the road with Bolton Cox,
Yeah.
Paul Barker.
I think he was just a part of it. I mean, he doesn't go super in depth. I don't know too much about Revolting Cox, but he was just around. He was kind of behind curtains a lot of times, but he just produced a lot through the 80s and the 90s and worked with some bands, smaller and bigger. Like he just kind of did his thing.
You can stay behind the scenes with that kind of work.
Oh yeah.
You can meet everyone you want to meet, and no one has to know who you are except the top people.
And he was just talented. I mean, he worked with Christian bands. He told me that he would do stuff for rappers sometimes. I mean, he just kind of was all around board.
In production, like, did he show you a lot of like sampling techniques and stuff like that?
Most of the stuff I've learned is that man and YouTube.
Wow.
And he learns from YouTube also. So
Because I'm assuming he still plays music and stuff.
oh yeah, he's in a band called Precog right now, which they broke up, but they're making a little comeback.
Precog.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of music is that?
Definitely synthwave, like synth pop.
Synthwave. Oh, okay, cool. Wow, that's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I guess it's inherent, but why would you say you're still drawn to music or making music and art?
I just love it. I like fun. I like energy. Those are the main things. I like playing shows. Shows are definitely one of the most fun parts of doing music. Having just a group of people around and having a good time.
The tribal energy.
The tribal energy of it, yeah, for sure.
So, bass is your main instrument right now, and
Right
singing.
now, yeah. It's always been, because this is the only band I've played an instrument in. Everything else is vocals. Yeah, lots of vocals.
Do you have like routines or anything to get better, or like work on your voice, or like?
No, not necessarily.
How do you like work on your stuff?
It's mainly just been screaming. It's always been screaming. I got into that when I worked for a haunted house, and my job was to scream basically 8 to 9 hours, and I learned how to scream right, and I was like, well, I guess I can apply this to music.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I guess you learn like how not to like tear your voice or whatever. Like,
yeah, because when you have to go into, you go into work, say work quotes, it was 6 to 8 hours straight of just screaming in dark rooms and freaking the hell out of people. But the first 2 nights were really rough. Couldn't talk the next day. But if you start to learn kind of how to do it from the diaphragm and leave the throat alone, or incorporate the throat without wrecking it, keeping it here.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing that you got paid to just scream at a haunted house.
Yeah. And that was when I was just kind of like, oh, I could do this. I wanted to.
It's wild that that's a role. How many people did they hire to do that?
Pretty decent amount of people. The turnover rate's really high. You'll always notice if you ever go to a haunted house, the first 2 weeks you'll see the most people there, and then a lot of people realize it's not fun or it's a lot of work. And because I mean, it realistically, like, it's hard on your body. It's very difficult being an actor in a place like that. Yeah. So by the time 2 weeks goes by, your staff of probably 80 drops down to about 40 to 50.
Right. People are like, this will be a fun seasonal job.
Yeah, for sure. A lot of mental instability.
I was about to say, like,
too, so
you're going to see a lot of dark realities.
We meet a lot of juggalos and people that are in tune with a different side of the world. It's a little strange.
Juggalos, as in like insane clown
Oh, yeah.
posse. Oh wow.
A lot of Hatchet Man tattoos going around in houses.
Oh wow.
What?
They're living out their murder dreams.
Oh yes, they are.
There's like anytime ICP gets brought up, I always think about the time that you told me you're like, you don't have to be a juggalo to be down with the clown.
Yeah, it's different. There's a difference. Like, I consider myself, I'm down with the clown. Like, I'm not necessarily a fan of it. It's not my thing, but I respect it.
Ally, juggalo
Yeah, it's
ally.
a juggalo ally. Like, I'll go to a gathering myself. I like the whole idea. I like
Just
the whole idea.
I mean, you'd see some crazy stuff.
Now the juggalos, that's where you get into the territory. I'm like, that's not for me. I like the shower.
Yeah.
I like the showers.
Yeah. You don't want to get showered with Fago.
No, not quite. I'll have a horrible acne breakout.
Okay, cool. So, like, what would you say inspires most of your creativity?
From a writing standpoint, I always seem to write the heaviest when I'm going through some crazy manic episode. When things are a little calm in life, I find myself in a block a little bit, which isn't a bad thing. But yeah, it's usually the stuff that I will write about always kind of comes at a time where I need to write about something.
You make the
Get
most of
something
it.
out, yeah.
What like when you're going through it, do you write it down or work on it then, or is it something like you come back to and try to remember?
It's more of just take after take after take. When I'm writing for myself, it's always at a computer, and I'll find myself in a notes app with the lyrics. I've always been make the beat, make the music first, then write the lyrics after.
Okay.
I never start lyrics first. It's always kind of like, what does this sound like? Okay, what would work with this sound?
Oh, okay. So, what of all time, what would you say your favorite bands and artists?
Helmet's probably my favorite out of the 90s.
John Sting.
Yeah. Meantime and Betty, to be particular, are the two records. Right now, currently, City Morgue's probably my favorite. Always will be my favorite.
City Morgue.
Mm-hmm. I listen to a lot more rap nowadays than anything else.
Like what kind of rap, or like?
I don't like well-produced stuff very well. Black Cray is one of my favorites. Five Finger Posse, just a lot of the more bass-driven. They didn't focus too hard on the production, or it's got its own sound. I like a lot of the bass, like 808 frequency stuff.
Oh, nice. Okay, cool. And you would say like movies and stuff also inspire a lot of your
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean,
books?
Nick and I have been movie fiends since day one, and it ranges all over the place. I like dumbass stoner comedies just as much as I like horrible, terrible, fucked up horror movies.
What are some of your favorite movies?
That's always a hard question.
Yeah, I don't think I've asked you that question in like 10 years, or like 8 years or something. Like that's I'm excited to hear what your answer is, because I always
Yeah.
I know a lot of your favorite
Yeah.
movies, but I haven't heard you answer that question in a while.
Trainspotting's always one I come back to as one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Trying to think of like currently if I had to pick a movie to just watch every day. I've seen Tommy Boy more times than I can count.
Dude, I fucking love Tommy.
Yeah, I
Chris
love Tommy,
Farley,
yeah.
dude.
I rewatched Naked Gun the other night. I love that movie. I like a lot of comedy stuff. But yeah, that's always such a hard question. I never really know.
Yeah, Cole showed me Fight Club
Oh,
for
yeah.
the first time, and that's a movie I've always
Fight Club.
associated with being one of his favorites, and his like overall aesthetic and vibe.
Yeah, I love that movie.
Yeah. It's got that like street grunge mixed with like
Yeah.
You get a lot of shit for liking that movie, but I love that movie.
I wonder why did they give you so much shit for it?
From what I understand, a lot of people have like an association of Brad and Chad movie. Like, oh, that's a Brad movie to watch. And it's like, well,
A Brad and Chad.
yeah, it's just kind of like a dude. That's a dude movie.
Oh, I
Yeah.
see. Very masculine.
And I get it. It is, but it's also like not the point of the movie.
It's a
at
piece
all.
of art.
Yeah.
It's also satirical.
You think it is, and like the way they hype it up, you're like, oh, this is just a movie about dudes fighting. But you actually like kind of, the more you watch it and the more you try to like look into it, you're like, oh, this is actually kind of like an anti-dude movie.
It's like a mixture
Yeah.
of like Inception meets like, I don't know, like really chaotic 90s vibe.
Yeah.
It's like the whole point is being way too masculine isn't always a great thing. Like it's kind of the definition. I hate the word, but toxic. It's like toxic masculinity and how far that can go.
Oh yeah. Right. Being able to beat yourself up.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Which is funny that like, him and I both like that movie a lot because I think Cole and I have always been labeled as like the sensitive guys.
I'm tiny. I'm a little soft guy.
Yeah.
I like to watch horror from a distance.
Yeah.
More watching, never a part of the horror.
What horror movies?
The original Evil Dead is probably one of the all-time favorites. I love that one. I like some of the art house stuff, not too much. Hereditary was pretty awesome. I did like that one. I like to get in the little weirder categories sometimes and see how far horror movies can go, and the answer is pretty far usually. Like the original Guinea Pigs are pretty cool.
Guinea pigs.
Yeah, just a lot of. I love the Saw movies. I love those movies.
Body horror is that or no?
I love body horror movies. Yeah, a lot of the visually unappealing stuff. Yeah, I'm very behind that. Ishi the Killer. I don't even know his head.
Yeah. Horror adjacent.
Horror adjacent. Just weird. I like the weird,
Yeah.
weird movies.
The bizarre.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like more Old Boy and
Old Boy, which like the Josh
The
Brolin
original one,
Oh
yeah.
yeah. Not the
I'm
Josh
not going to
Brolin.
talk about the American one.
Right. Yeah, that maybe the whole take on that is.
Yeah, I like weird plots. If you can incorporate weird body stuff into it, which that movie definitely did a couple times, you got a win for me.
Nice. What would you say your strengths and weaknesses are?
I would like to say I don't think too hard. I think too hard in terms of writing, but once it comes to like the actual getting in front of people, and I'm not afraid to look like an ass. Like that doesn't bother me. I have more fun that way.
You don't take life too seriously.
No, when I was in a crust punk band, we played in a basement out in the Nations, and it was a really fun show. But I cross dressed for it, and I was wearing this like fake kind of velvet skirt. And there was one point, when you're wearing a skirt as a dude, you're not really thinking too hard about how your legs are crossing and what you're showing. And there was we had one song where I kind of just got to like sit and not exude too much energy, because that was the first time I had really done vocals like that. And doing vocals is absolutely exhausting. It takes it out of you. And even in I think it was an 11-minute set, there was one song that was the longest song we had. I didn't do vocals on, so I just sit at the side and I was crouched down with my nuts just hanging out. And I just had my nuts out for like a solid probably 30 seconds.
And people are like,
no one said anything. I didn't know until afterwards. Someone was like, "Yo, you're nuts for this day." And I was like, "Cool."
just like hung brains.
Yeah, I was like, "Sweet, hanging brain." So I'm not afraid to make an ass of myself. That's the least of my worries.
It's all about the bigger picture.
Yeah, I just like having a good time.
Yeah. Okay, cool. How would you best describe the type of artist you are?
Pretty laid back. Just I like to have fun. That's the main thing.
Laid back.
Mm-hmm.
But you said the vocals are exhausting.
vocals are exhausting, but to an extent, I try not to. Vocals are the one place I feel like I don't have to think too hard, and I get to. It's physically demanding, but mentally, I'm not. It doesn't feel stressful for me to do vocals. Like I enjoy doing it.
Nice. So, but like, I guess what type of artist? I mean, what style of like? I mean, screaming mostly, right? Like,
Screaming wise, it kind of just sounded black metalish for a long time. It's very black metal oriented, but I never was in a black metal band.
Yeah.
But I just like the really aggressive, really low, really high. I wanted to learn both, so I just can incorporate it. I'd love to do something closer to deathcore, metallic, hardcore. I love that kind of stuff. But yeah, I don't really know. It's kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
I had someone tell me I sounded like a goblin under the bridge one time. I was like, that's
sick.
That's it. I'll just say whatever
Goblin
that is.
under the bridge.
Yeah, just goblin troll stuff. Yeah.
Welcome.
Yeah. But yeah, I always liked more aggressive vocals, and if I continue to do vocals, that's what I want to do.
Who are some like singers or vocalists you like, or bands that have vocals that you like?
In terms of influence, Full of Hell, I do love. That man, Dylan Walker's got some pipes on him. That is some of the craziest vocals I've ever heard. Don't know the singer's name, but Young and in the Way was another big one I liked the vocals of.
What is it? Young in the Way?
Young and in the Way. They're not around anymore. That is one of the kind of almost OG canceled. Their career ended pretty quick, but black metal bands, they would not stay in current climates. So
yeah, I mean their whole like shtick was being controversial. I feel like.
Right. Yeah.
It's like that was. I mean,
like they did the whole pouring blood on themselves thing, like zip up, get masked while they're playing.
Yeah.
Leather, big chains on.
I think that's just like from black metal. That's like required. Like you have to get canceled, maybe like Burzum or
Someone's gotta die.
yeah, anything like that, like the Norwegian black metal and now current black.
Mitch Rucker of OG Suicide Silence too. That is one of the craziest vocal ranges I think ever exist. Insane. Phil Bozeman, I don't even like Whitechapel, but Phil Bozeman is an insane vocalist.
Yeah. Wow. Those
Fucking crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Those are all black metal artists.
The last two are more deathcore territory. That's like the 2008 era of deathcore, which is kind of the only thing I'll really mess with in that territory. Because there's something about deathcore in particular that I just can't get behind. I don't know exactly what it is. It feels a little too corny sometimes for my taste. I think that's what it is. But I love the vocal dynamics of it. It's pretty brutal.
Wow. I don't know if I'm not very familiar with deathcore.
Yeah, it's I like to say it's short-lived, but there's still plenty of bands killing it in that world. Like Lorna Shore is making a killing right now.
Maybe too many bands.
Yeah, there's a lot of bands still doing it. But yeah, it's I'd say vocal wise, I love the vocal style of it, but I'd like to incorporate it in different ways. It's not a deathcore band.
Nice.
I don't need pig squeals in my music.
It's like it reminds me of like Primus kind of thing, or like
it sounds nothing like Primus. Like, but I get what you're saying. It's got like a unique edge to it.
Yeah.
That like I like the stuff that kind of sounds like it can't be copied.
oh yeah, pig squeals. Wow, never.
Pig squeals. If you do some research on deathcore, you'll be like, nah.
Oh wow. Okay, well, so you also just lived in Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't go away for college or anything.
No, I went to Nashville State for almost a year, but I am so bad at numbers that I just dropped out. And yeah, that was kind of it.
And what would you say is like why you decided to stay in Nashville?
I always say I can't afford to stay. I can't afford to leave.
Yeah.
This is still home to me. No matter how much it changes, I grew up here. I know a lot of these roads. I know a lot of what was there before. I know a lot of what's there now. And it's a really cool city. But yeah, I don't know. I've just always been here. Never really, we didn't really go out west until 20,
Yeah,
2020.
yeah. 2020, we like kind of went on a big road trip and
Yeah.
decided to see.
What else the world has to offer. And that was when I was like, man, Nashville's small. It's so small here, and it would be nice to get out one day.
Yeah. What would you say is something you've learned since you've been living here?
That's a good question. That's a hard one to answer.
Probably is really hard to answer since it's
Yeah.
where you from and live.
I've seen what tourism can do to a city. What turning your city that used to be small into a tourist attraction looks like.
Yeah, did you hear the bill about trying to shut down the live bands on Broadway?
Oh no, really?
Wow.
Yeah. Isn't that insane?
That's it's not called Music City for no reason.
Exactly. Like everyone that I know that performs on Broadway is raged
Yeah.
because Bill Lee, apparently, someone said that we shouldn't have the noise pollution. I'm like, what? It's Music City.
Yeah, that's
It's like banning cheese in Wisconsin or some shit. Like that doesn't really make sense.
I'm like, you're taking the venom out of
It
the
sounds a lot
snake.
like you're trying to undo the damage that they've done to the city.
Yeah,
That's
trying to
kind of what
like
it sounds like.
backtrack on,
Yeah.
like you said, the tourism.
I think it was last year. I remember. No, it was last year or 2 years ago. I knew someone that worked on Broadway, and I was down there just because I never go to Broadway. I mean, it's a mess. I hate it. It's clustered, and people are shitty. And I was sitting in a car, and I saw all these hot tubs being pulled on trailers, and you could just get on a truck bed. They had trucks and hot tub attachments on the end, and they were just driving around getting day drunk in a hot tub. And I was like, I will never do part of this shit. I was like, oh, this is disgusting. But they banned those, luckily. I mean,
Yeah,
sanitary reasons. You got every person on Broadway
God Almighty.
hot soup.
Yeah.
It's disgusting.
And then getting out and going into a bar or
Going
whatever,
like fucking Kid Rocks or some shit, and
and then getting
drinking
back
their
into
$12 Michelob Ultras or something.
getting back into the hot tub.
It's Nashville is just not for me at this point. I love Nashville. It's still home, but it's not for me.
Yes. You just never know what bachelor thing they're gonna pull next.
A lot of people wanted to move here and make this place like they saw what was happening and were like, oh, this is cool. And then they took every aspect that was cool and stripped it away.
Yeah.
They put a tall and skinny on top of it. So
That's the very good way to put it. Put a tall and skinny on it.
everyone wanted to have such a good time here that they ruined the good time. That's kind of how I feel about this place.
Yeah. The party's only good, but when the cops
Mhm.
come, it's
What made it special isn't really special anymore.
yeah. Do you have a favorite place to play in Nashville?
I always like doing the weird shows, like the weird little one-offs, like that industrial project. I only did one show, and it was at a bowling alley in Cool Springs.
Wow.
And there was like 4 people in the crowd, half of them being you and Connor.
Yeah.
What was another? I feel like I played our crust punk band played a lot of shows. We played at a wood shop where they were like building furniture in the corner, but it was Gel, the hardcore band Gel.
I'm not sure.
So there's a band Gel, and we opened up for them, and it was just in this weird facility that was gated with like barbed wire fence. And I was like, I don't think we're in the right place. They were like, no, we're in the right place. And they were sitting in the corner building couches and stuff and just let us play a set. It was very strange. There were a lot of kids there, though. It was a lot of fun.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like a factory gig.
Yeah, it was strange. I like weird little one-off shows like that
Yeah.
where you're on the ground just kind of like, where the fuck are we? Like, why are we playing this show right now?
Dude, I'll never forget when I first moved here, and my friend was like, we're going to go to this Halloween show. I was like, okay, cool. What's the address? And I give the address to the Uber driver, and we like go there. And it's in the middle of this like 18-wheeler truck yard. And in the middle of the 18-wheeler truck yard was this warehouse. And the Uber driver's like, what? Where are we? Are we here? I'm like, I have no idea. And inside the warehouse, there was like DJs and whatnot. And it was like a rave. Like, this is like something on a fucking like
That's wild.
But there's like that whole underground scene here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Especially-
there's a big the rave scene kind of came back in Nashville, and I think TikTok has a little play in that because TikTok's bringing a lot of new kids onto a lot of the techno stuff again.
Oh.
You'll see if you go to anything, and that more just applies here. But from what I've seen, it's a lot of 19-year-olds that are getting back into the whole rave culture thing around Nashville.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
The whole 2010, 2009 era of rave culture.
people are like wearing candy again and stuff. It's weird.
Weird.
Yeah,
The whole like bass nectar culture, kind of like
it's a little different.
Dubstep-y.
This one's a little more. I'd say Gabber's making a comeback around here, which is strange because I wouldn't expect that crowd to fall back into that, but ketamine and Gabber. It's a weird
Yeah, I was
combo
gonna
that
I was
people are
gonna say
doing.
it's like maybe like you could say like bass nectar, but like way more ketamine.
It's a lot of the more harsh dance stuff
Yeah,
coming back. A lot of that European style, I feel like, is
yeah.
happening here.
wow. So, what is some advice you would give someone who's going to move here and do art?
Just work at it, I feel like a lot of Nashville is knowing people and going out and doing things. And if you really want it, you can put your mind to it, but you kind of have to be willing to be in a city where that's not necessarily special. And that's kind of everyone's sole purpose here. And don't let that defeat you. Just try to find a way to stand out from it. You don't need to move here to be the next country singer because I promise you there's probably 200 people moving here every day to try to do that. Not saying, if that's what you want to do it, but it's a hard city to make it in because frankly, it's like not a lot of people. A lot of people live here that have already made it, but you don't see a lot of people from here making it,
Yeah.
I feel like I don't know many bands around here. I mean, there are people that are successful, but I'm talking like big picture.
Yeah.
No one's really like. There's no real rock bands happening anymore. Like, no big ass. It's not like the '90s where every week you had some new thing dropping at the record store. The internet kind of just diminished that. You got a lot of kids doing shows, like small time shows, and bands that get big in a niche category, but you won't see something like Weezer or like 182 kind of happen again like that. I don't think.
Yeah, it's very rare you hear like, oh, this new band or new pop star being played on the radio, like they're right out of Nashville. Tennessee. You don't hear that super often.
Just from what I've noticed.
Yeah. Yeah, because I guess the last big rock band out of Nashville would have been Kings of Leon.
Yeah, Kings of Leon, like Paramore, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
Those guys
Paramore.
are fucking dicks, and no one really likes them.
Yeah, Kings of Leon.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's a weird city to try to. I feel like this place has kind of turned into an identity crisis. It's in the past.
It's a sample of a sample of a sample.
It's a sample of a sample. It's country artist after country artist. Everyone comes here. I want to play music on Broadway. Oh, I don't want to do that anymore. Okay, well, I'm going to go do this gig. Well, I don't like this gig. It's a weird spot, and I feel like a lot of bands don't really. We get a lot of shows, but people kind of skip Nashville.
Yeah.
Like, for being such a big city, I feel like it's a pretty skippable place.
I mean, especially like when we were in high school, we were always going out of town to go to shows. There's a lot of
Say
bands.
shows don't happen. I'm more talking like big picture.
Big
I've seen
picture,
a lot of
yeah.
like Soulja Boy is playing here like every other fucking month. It
That's
feels like
so
at this
weird.
point, a lot of rappers are coming through, but those shows aren't promoted very well. But I don't notice like we'll get some big time gigs. Maybe this is just talking because of my taste. Like I just don't see a lot of what I want to see happening in Nashville.
Like we get Taylor Swift and we get like
Ed Sheeran.
I saw Red Hot Chili Peppers at Nissan, but you don't that like those big Nissan shows aren't even as much anymore.
Yeah, I feel like we just don't get a lot of those tour packages. But then again, it's like I can't really think of many shows I kind of want to go to.
Yeah.
Like a lot of what I listen to in terms of instruments and people playing, I feel like it's a lot of from the '90s where it's a little smaller time, something you'd see at the end or old exit in at the most.
Old exit, and yeah, that's true.
And we were a little too young to even go to exit in.
Yeah.
Like by the time we were around like 18, could do that stuff. It was Exit In was kind of on the decline.
Yeah, we caught the tail end of it, kind of.
Yeah. I remember when I moved here, I would go to a lot of shows at Exit In because I worked at the bar next to it. Hurry Back.
Nice.
I feel like that was like the end, towards the end of the era.
The End is consistently the one venue I think we found ourselves in more often than not.
And it's made a comeback
Mm-hmm.
because I remember like it was like slow and wasn't necessarily the cool hip bar. Now
It's
it
kind
gets
of
packed out, and
the last on that strip of what feels like old Nashville.
yeah, because everyone was like, we're going to go to a show at the Exit End. The End is not as good, but now the End is becoming this revered because it's kept its originality.
It's kind of had to fight
It
to
has.
stay.
It has had to fight.
Its location is so desired, but
Yeah, stood the test of time.
it's sad walking down Elliston nowadays because you see what it was. And I'd say like you got Aladdin's. It's been there. It's going to be there, and they're always having a good old time. It's partying there. The hookah place, like right across the street.
Yeah,
there's always something going on there, but that's not my crowd. That's not necessarily my speed.
And Gold Rush was there, right?
Gold Rush was there too, but like you go, because I just love being in that part of town, but it kind of feels like a ghost town compared to what it used to be nowadays.
Right.
When Cafe Coco was 24 hours and the parking garage was free to park in and kind of a function for some reason.
Yeah, people would just hang out there.
Yeah, you could go at 2 a.m. on any weekend and there's like 40 people on the top floor just hanging out, having a good time.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I always see people in that parking garage.
Yeah, I'm always having a good time in that parking garage. But now it's like, you want to go to a show at the end? Okay, well, be prepared to pay $20 for parking for your $10 show. Like,
or try to find, parking in an alley or something. Okay, cool. So, reflecting back when you first started as an artist, what would you say some of the biggest obstacles you had to overcome? How did you overcome them?
I'd say at first, I guess it was being comfortable with doing it because it's a little different. I've always been okay with being in front of people and doing things, but the hard part I found, particularly with music, was feeling not so locked up on stage, like not so tight, and just kind of realizing it's not that big of a deal at the end of the day. And if people are there to see you, that's what they're there for. They'll feed off your energy. So if you're sitting there all locked up, they're not going to
engage.
Yeah. Better just to kind of go with the flow of things and learn to just take it not so seriously.
Yeah, not take yourself, because at the end of the day,
being self-aware takes you further.
Self-aware. Self-realization. Okay, cool. So, what would you say is your biggest personal growth from last year, this year?
I'd say I'll extend it to the past 2 years. I really learned who's there, who's not there, and that it's better to have a friend group you can count on your fingers than trying to have everyone just all around at once. And it's better to really know who's there for you and keeping your best interest in mind. Partying isn't necessarily the way, and not that it's a bad thing or anything, just I feel like I've slowed my roll a little bit in the past couple of years and kept my head on straighter. And just thinking more long picture and not just living to be like, well, tomorrow's going to happen.
Right.
Not thinking for the day, but trying to think a little more like, okay, I'm 24 now, but I got to think, what do I want things to be like when I'm 40, 41, 42?
Right.
I got to think a little more long term with what I'm doing instead of just waking up and living for that day.
Right. And especially not being too tied to too many people's opinions, because then you just become a reflection instead of an individual.
Yeah, for sure.
Because you're too afraid to disappoint.
And people's opinions, they're their opinions, and I kind of don't really care.
Yeah. Okay. You were talking about a lot of media, so like when you watch stuff, you usually watch it in a physical form? Or?
Mm-hmm. streaming services kind of dominated, and I mean, I still stream a lot of stuff, but I have 200. I lost count. It's like probably about 250, 260 at this point of DVDs. Got a ton of VHS tapes and video games. DVDs, I'd say, were the main move, though. Always.
Yeah, when we moved out for the first time, it was like such a pain in the ass to move all of our DVDs.
And I alphabetically organize all of them too. So it's like anytime I move, and I've moved because we moved out 1 month before the pandemic started.
Yeah.
And the world kind of just became unstable. So I've moved a few times, and every fucking time I have this huge luggage suitcase just full of DVDs, this backpack full of DVDs, sit there and just all 26 letters just have to slowly go through and plop them down.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. But then when I have it, I'm like, okay,
yeah, it feels really good.
That's
It's
true,
like
yeah.
you have your own little like blockbuster movie.
I got my shelves that contain which aren't big enough to hold all of them. But
A little
the main
media
ones that
center.
hide the DVDs in other places because there's just too fucking many.
Open that drawer, you'll find Scarface.
Yeah. No, there literally is like a drawer in his house. If you like open it, like DVDs fall out, like boxes fall
Not
out.
anymore. Luckily, I got
Oh,
rid of
you
that.
got rid of it?
No, that's not true.
Oh.
If you pop open one of the drawers, you'll just
Yeah,
see
like
this
under the
cluster
TV,
of
right?
unorganized
Yeah.
DVDs. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
that's a mix of me and my lady's DVDs. But she has like 10, and I've got way too fucking many.
Do you like to watch stuff on YouTube?
Yeah, I watch way too much YouTube.
What do you like to watch on YouTube?
I kind of became a weather nerd the past,
Other
I'd say, a year or so. I don't know what happened. I just had a switch, and there's a dude on YouTube that is always talking about storms and weather systems, and I watch him way too much. I like to watch not super serious stuff. Just like some dickhead with a microphone just reading comments or talking.
What is your favorite type of storm?
Bad ones.
What I know what's
Like,
that,
I
like
think
tornadoes?
Tornadoes are pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
And I think, being in a weird place like Tennessee where you can go 2 weeks with horribly hot weather, and then all of a sudden out of nowhere you're just hit with a monsoon storm for 2 hours straight with crazy lightning. Like, this is a natural disaster bed. Like, you really never know what you're in for here.
The lightning here is so intense.
Yeah. I got 6 feet of water from a flood in my house in 2010. That huge flood that kind of wiped out Nashville. I lived in right next to the Cumberland River.
Oh wow.
And it was crazy because there was a neighbor where we could sit and watch. And I mean, our house was submerged. We watched like tractors go through and like blow out all the fences in the neighborhood. And people were swimming in boats to get people out of the second stories of their houses. It was Nashville's weird.
Wow.
Tennessee's weather is crazy.
Wow. That is wild. Okay, well, is there anything you'd like to add that I might not have asked you about?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I think we're good.
What is something absurd you love?
That's a hard question.
Yeah, that's a big question.
I'm really good at armpit farting. I'm like professional at that shit, and I think it's the lack of armpit hair. But
Anything farting related,
Yeah.
you're really good at.
I think fart humor is one of the funniest. It's the pinnacle of comedy right there. I'm a professional armpit farter, though.
Fart humor.
I've got the comedy level of a middle school child, so that's not really that's there to stay. It's unfortunate, but
It's all in good taste.
if you
Sometimes.
let out a good
Sometimes.
toot or a rip at the right moment, you will see tears come out.
Okay, great. Now I'll ask y'all band questions.
Cool.
Okay, so how did y'all start?
In my basement, playing music. I mean, just like
Yeah.
How long ago was that?
2014. Probably.
Yeah, I was saying like 2013, 2014.
Yeah, we just like
2014 was the main year.
Yeah.
We started going to shows a lot, and that was when I think we just we found like the niches of stuff we liked,
Mhm.
and realized not a lot of other people like them. And we were like, well, I guess we could do that.
Yeah.
Going to
We just
shows.
did it.
Where would y'all go?
Yeah.
The end and Cafe Coco when they used to have shows.
Cafe Coco had some really good shows.
I think going to those shows, we kind of realized like, oh, this is something that's like feasible for us to do. Like, you don't have to be a big rock star in a touring band or play Bridgestone or
It was just fun.
the Ryman or have outfits and pyrotechnics. Like, you can go and be your friends. And
You just watch some local act or some
Yeah.
20-something-year-olds set up on stage and do their piece for 25 to 30 minutes and see how much fun everyone's having in the room. And I was like, oh, I'd like to do that.
Yeah,
Shows are fun.
just that feeling. So what inspired the name?
The lack of finding any other.
yeah.
I think we missed, what was it? Originally, I think it was going to be Drain.
Yeah, I always thought Drain was a cool name,
But
because
then
Drain You was my favorite.
I'll flash forward a couple of years, and that is now like a thrash hardcore band.
Yeah,
It's doing really.
I think I just had like a
Solid.
long list of words and phrases I still do in my notes app that I think sound cool, or that I like kind of, the vibe that they maybe give off. But it's like, I don't know, it's just one.
I think the one thing we agreed on was just having a one-word name,
Yeah.
which is a little hard to do nowadays because everyone's got a project and nothing's actually original when you really think about it. But Blemish just kind of stuck.
Yeah. It looks good on a t-shirt.
It does.
It rolls off the tongue.
Yeah.
It works for what we do.
It's a great, multiple syllables.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What would y'all say are some band influences?
Bring them up again. I think Helmet is pretty big.
Helmet.
We like a lot of new metal.
Yeah.
Or I like a lot of new metal. So does Jake, our drummer. I think Connor.
He kind of fell.
Connor's the outlier out of it, or in terms of taste, I think.
Yeah, what he listens to, like the Grateful Dead.
He's big into the Grateful Dead.
And like other I said that in a really, I didn't mean to
Him and I like a
sound
lot of
so
this.
judgmental.
We like a lot of him and I like a lot of the same music, but it's not really I wouldn't say they have any influence on what we do.
Yeah.
A lot of 90s inspired stuff.
Yeah. Like
Just I'd say the 90s is one of our biggest
90s
inspirations.
and early 2000s. I mean, like a lot of like Roadrunner bands and I mean, Helmet, Pantera. I think even Deftones. There's some stuff that we draw from, or but then I think there's also probably I mean, I know for me writing, there's some things that are like totally on the other side of the spectrum that I kind of try to draw from, or take inspiration from, or influence from. I think there's a lot to learn from other types of music that don't sound anything like what you want to play or what you want to write. So
Nice. Okay, what do y'all do to get inspired as a band? Probably go to shows together.
It's been a little different. I feel like because we haven't really been doing much right now. Everyone's been pretty busy. I don't know. I don't really know. We just kind of meet up and hang out, go get Mexican food, and
I mean,
we're chilling. It's never really high stress. We don't put much work on ourselves. We just kind of hang.
yeah, when we meet up as a band, definitely it's like that. I think. I mean, inspiration-wise, like Cole and I have always liked watching concerts or music videos, so I think that's kind of like something that we take a lot of inspiration from.
Yeah,
It's
I
like,
love music videos.
We'll just sit and watch, we'll just sit and watch music videos all day and live shows, and it's like, damn, we really want to play. We want to play a show like that. We want to give off this energy. We want to have a video that feels like this. So I think it's like a lot of that, and then sometimes like even movies too. It's like, oh, we want to have a song that feels like this scene, or like that have a music video that looks like this movie.
Yeah. Where did y'all record It Stopped Being Funny?
We just did it at my parents' house in our basement, in our parents' basement.
And what about American Sugar?
That one too, yeah.
Pretty much all the songs came out of the basement.
Just the basement. It's just where like our practice space is, and That's top secret though. I shouldn't have said that.
I love the vibe of American Sugar.
Thank
It's
you.
not as it's like it's its own ethereal darkness kind of thing, but it's not like in your face as
Yeah.
much. But when you listen to it, it's like the whole vibe. It's almost like I feel like I'm in Twin Peaks, but I'm also in like uh, maybe The Crow,
Wow,
but
dude,
also like
that's awesome. Thank you
very
so much.
90s mixed with like I don't know, like old architecture from I see in 90s. I don't know.
That's sick. I'd love to hear that. That's really awesome.
Yeah, I really love that song. I
Thank
mean,
you.
it's like a whole vibe.
Yeah, definitely is a lot different than our other stuff, but I think it still has like a kind of a heavy mood and intensity to it that's just manifests in a different way.
Yeah, it reminds me of like a camera moving through the woods when there's like a dense fog.
Yeah,
And it's like
that's
yeah.
that's perfect. I love to hear. I love to hear that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's definitely like the feeling I wanted to convey and give with that song. So
Definitely feel fog when I listen to that or experience that. But okay, as a band, what are some of the biggest things you've learned?
mm,
It's okay to say no to a show
yeah,
if you don't want to do it. You don't have to play every show if you don't want to. So the less you think, sometimes the bigger the turnout. It's kind of what I've realized with music. It's always stuff that I've noticed that is a little more popular with people that actually listen to what you're doing. Is always kind of the one that I least expected people to like. Usually, like every now and then, it'll be a song that I've written, and I'm like, oh, I don't like that one, but I'm gonna release it anyways. Those always end up the one people are like, yeah, I like that one a lot. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, all right. It's like that. I didn't work as hard on that song, but yeah,
yeah. It's almost disappointing in a weird way because you're like, man, I didn't really even give a shit about this thing that I put so much work, or didn't put that much work into it. Felt very,
not to say there's not work, but it's I've always noticed that the songs I've focused on or worked harder on,
you stress yourself out on,
end up kind of the bottom of the pole.
Yeah.
It's usually the ones that less thought just kind of happen.
Yeah,
those are the
like
ones
the
that
natural,
people like
easy
most.
one.
Those end up being the popular ones.
Yeah, I mean, it's usually the stuff that I don't expect to be people being like, I like this track. That's usually the track that they're like, oh, I love that one.
Right.
It's the one that I would listen back to and be
It's
like,
the
it's the post release where you're like,
Yeah.
God damn it, I wish I hadn't done that. And then someone's like, oh, I love that one, and you're like,
right.
did you listen to it? Yeah.
What do y'all have like anything y'all would have done differently looking back, or like situations that you've learned from that you now moving forward? That like if you could tell yourself something when I first started, now that all that you know now.
Cole is like way more like positive and like forward thinking than I am. My answer would be like everything. Yes, like I wish I could do it all better, but I mean, I'm still. This doesn't mean I'm not totally satisfied with, and I'm like I love where the band is at right now, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. But like personally, like there's so many things I wish I did better.
I would say just having fun is kind of I think music to me is a fun thing, and I don't necessarily want that to be the center of my life because I enjoy doing it.
That makes sense.
Like I'm not trying to. I don't want to be some big mixed artist. I mean, I'm not saying if the opportunity presented itself, I probably wouldn't try it, but it's not an aspiration and goal of mine to be like, oh, that's all I want to do.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's fun. Like I enjoy what I do, having fun with it, and the second you kind of take fun out of it, what are you doing it for?
Makes sense. If there was like a band that was going to move here, as from a band's perspective, what advice would you give them?
just keep your head up. It's going to be okay. It's already a difficult industry to try to make it in. It's a little harder when you're actually like committing to it, and you have to be willing to maybe play the shows you don't want to, and deal with the places where you're setting up your own sound, and you're not going to always like how you sound. It's okay. Like everything's going to be fine. Just keep doing what you're doing, and it should pay off eventually.
Cool.
Just choose your people wisely in this city.
Okay, awesome, guys. Well, thank you all for coming over and doing
Yeah,
this.
of course, man. Thank you for
so
having
much
us.
for having us.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was great.